Welcome back. All right, so I was going to do a power rankings last night, and then I was going to do one tonight, and I think I'm going to save it for tomorrow. So I've got the power rankings figured out. I've got it on a board right behind this one. Do you want to see the power rankings? Too bad. But yeah, so power rankings will be tomorrow. That's for the start of the season. I figure, hey, why not do that right before the season gets started? And again, last night we got home kind of later than I had expected, so I just did the Terry Sawchuk video. And today, since I posted the 3 meetup videos, I'm doing this one here. I'm thinking, I'll do the power rankings tomorrow. The only time you'll see it on a Monday, right? So, anyways, I wanted to talk about meetups as the season's probably done. Now, it really comes down to the fact that I've played street hockey slash floor hockey most of my life. It is something I really love doing. I enjoy it a lot, and I'm really proud that at 50 years of age, I'm still able to go out there and run around for hours. I'm very happy about that. So while I may not be 100% happy with everything you see here, and I'm not, realistically, who is? The fact is that, I went to all of these meetups, most of them being street hockey, not all. And so, yeah, I was able to go out there. I didn't end up with any major injuries. I did bite the dust yesterday. I did. I got knocked down and scuffed up the brand new Boston jersey a little bit, but that's why I get the ones with my name on them. So I've got this one here. This, of course, with my last name on the back. And I've gone through which teams I have my name on the back of and why and all of that. I've talked about that in other videos. And I've got more liberal with that this year, where when sales were on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get more jerseys for meetups. I love wearing different jerseys. I love for when people, and it's a very small group of people to watch the meetup videos, but I always enjoy thinking, you know what? I hope Yvonne takes a video of me wearing this one. Now, I did do a couple of videos where I was commentating on during the last meetup we had before we went on vacation. And I know those seem to be a little bit more popular, but I like playing, so, and, Yvonne likes to take the video while I'm out there playing and running around. So going over the meetups we had this year, again, we had 11 this year, so that was great. This is a sort of a channel tradition that goes on over half a decade now. It started in 2018 with the first Brody Hintz tournament, which was right after the Humboldt tragedy, and still to this day that's something that cuts to the bone when it comes to hockey fans everywhere. But the first one we had at Hickey Park, which is where we have most of them, was in June of 2018. And after that first time that I saw that outdoor street hockey area, I was like, this is perfect. It's close to the highway. It's close to SkyTrain, close to the mall. It's close enough to Vancouver that people from Vancouver can come out. It's close enough to certain parts of the Fraser Valley that people from the Fraser Valley can come out. It just works. So the first meetup we had this year was actually in Anaheim. It was on February the 4th, and we had the same people at both meetups for the most part in Anaheim, and it was enjoyable to meet up with fans. And in Anaheim, it's more of a hang out and talk about hockey for a few hours. And I'm always glad when I see at these meetups that people exchange information, they get to know each other, and I like to think that it helps to create friendships as well. We definitely are in a society where it's easy to be kind of walled off from the rest of the world, and if creating a hockey community helps, then great. Then the next meetup wasn't until April 15th, because during hockey season, it gets kind of busy, and obviously I'm not going to, say, well, there's 10 games today, but I want to go play street hockey. That's not going to work. So April 15th, we had a meetup at West Hill. Now, West Hill's covered, and so when the weather's bad, West Hill sounds like a good option. However, it costs money, and the amount of time that you can have, you can't go longer than 2 hours. Our meetups are almost always 3 hours. So West Hill generally doesn't work. So that meetup was not one that I was all that happy with, and at that point I was like, all right, West Hill doesn't work. The next meetup was June 23rd. That was at Hickey Park. So was the one on July 2nd. So that's usually where we go. It's in Coquitlam. Easiest place to go. Then July 15th, we had one at Sardis Sports Field, which is in Chilliwack. Chilliwack, where I grew up. I lived there for about 40 years. And so, I know the area. That sports field is actually sports field. I've played street hockey there many years. I've played in that small little area that you guys saw in the meetup videos we took in Chilliwack. But that's a place where, I raised my kids, and there's a lot of memories that flood back anytime I go there. So, and this year it felt like it was even more than usual. A lot of memories flooding back, and it was something. So I enjoy having at least a meetup a year in Chilliwack. It's not as easy because Chilliwack's more out there, so you're not going to get nearly as many people. We had, of course, one goalie for that one. I think we had about 12 to 15 people for that one. And that's what's going to happen when you have that in Chilliwack, right? But I understand that, and I intend to have at least one per year. July 29th, we had one at Hickey Park, and this is where I was saying, you know what, we need to have more. So we've been very open about the passing of Kevin, who was somebody who came to all of our meetups. His picture has been in the background of videos for a while now. I put his picture in front of the Guy Lafleur Funko some time ago. I understand that there's people who, especially if you're on your cell phone, you may not have noticed, but that picture's been there for a while. And the meetups were important to him. And I found out how important they were after he passed, and I talked to his mother. I've also talked to his stepdad, and just people who knew him, and those meetups were really important. So when I found out how important they were, I thought I need to have more this summer. If there's time, I need to have that. So on a Saturday, if it looks like it's going to be sunny and there's nothing planned, I think we should have a meetup that day. Sometimes they're on a Sunday, sometimes they're on a Friday. It's going to depend on when I'm not busy, but if I can have one, I'll have one. So August 6th was Hickey. August 16th, we were, of course, in Anaheim again. That was the Disney portion of the trip Yvonne and I took. We didn't have one in Vegas. We haven't had one in Vegas in a while. I think we need to figure out a way to have one in Vegas that's strip adjacent, so near the strip. Having one on the strip, I don't think would necessarily work, but we'll figure something out. We'll be back in Vegas in all likelihood next summer, and we would like to take another trip to Anaheim / Disneyland. So yeah, August 16th in Anaheim. So that was 2 meetups in California. It was great, and we intend to have at least one next year. Everything financially being considered, and as long as we can, afford it, that kind of thing. September 8th, of course, we were back at Hickey Park. So we were on holiday for 10 days, and then we came back. I started planning right away for that Hickey Park one. September 30th, again at Hickey, we had one scheduled for the 23rd, but rain canceled that event. And October 7th, which was yesterday, we had that meetup at Hickey Park as well. We only had 5 meetups in 2022. And looking back, I think, could I have had other meetups that summer? I probably could have, yeah. I know that we had extreme heat the previous summer as well. The heat gets kind of tricky. So trying to schedule a time, I do move the times around a bit. So during the heat of summer, I'll have it at like 5:30. Because I know the sun's not going to go down until about 9 o'clock anyways. And during that, when the sun's beating down, on that pavement, it's not a good idea to have like a really big long meetup. So I scheduled it for later in the day. The one we had yesterday I scheduled for 3 o'clock. It still went 4 hours because why not? It was the last one and we had 4 teams. So we were basically trying to make it so that everybody got equal playing time. And that was the only reason that we kept score, really. When we just have 2 teams, we don't really keep score. And we went to 3 goals. The first game yesterday was epic. And it got to the point where people were telling me, you need to have them have a shootout, have them overtime. Just this game has to end. But it was a lot of fun to watch. It was like a 40-minute street hockey game. And it was really, really evenly matched. It was a 2-2 tie. And I was like, do I want to have a shootout to decide who wins this? No. And then, the funny part of that being that when you're playing King's Court, where the winners stay on and the next team comes on to chase them, because we had 4 teams, that didn't happen. If we had, the team that won the first game would have got destroyed in the second. They had nothing. There was nothing left. And I said, now if the next game's like 5 minutes, what's going to happen then? Because both of these teams are gassed. They are blown up. We only had 1 meetup in 2021, of course, and we had 2 meetups in 2020. The 2 meetups in 2020 were both in Anaheim. They were pre-pandemic, and then during pandemic, there wasn't anything going on. And we had the 1 meetup in 2021 as sort of a, hey, we're still here. And then 2022, things got back to some semblance of normal. And again, this summer we had 11 meetups. So it was a lot of fun. I do look forward to having these again. I've been very vocal during the summer that, on the quieter days in the NHL where you have, say, 3 or less games, I think if I can go out and watch a hockey game, great. If there's a concert that night, like for instance, Tool, it was very nice of Tool to make sure that the night that they're going to be playing in Vancouver, and I have tickets for the Tool concert, that there's only one NHL game that night. So that was very considerate of Tool to make sure that it was on a Monday, and it was nice of the NHL to only schedule one game that night. I owe Gary Bettman for that, and you wonder why I have the Gary Bettman photo there. But I would like to have more street hockey meetups somehow, some way to find a way to do it during the season. I just don't know, looking at the NHL schedule, that it's going to work. I've spent a long time playing. Yesterday was the first time I've ever broken a stick. I didn't even hit the net that hard. It was one of those things where I was coming back. I felt like it was my fault that there was a player charging at the net. It went in, and I just hit the net with my stick, and stick broke. I was like, well, there's the end of that stick, so that's why I'm using the stick I don't normally use. But I really think part of that is because I was wearing my Shoresy jersey. So I think it's part of it. I think, when you're dressing like Shoresy and you're kind of talking like Shoresy on the sideline, don't hit anything with your stick. Your stick's going to break. It's part of wearing the Shoresy jersey and all. But it was a lot of fun. I look forward to doing it again next summer and having those during the fall and spring if I can. I do see all the comments from people saying, I wish you could have one in name city here. And I do too. I wish that I could just do tours and go all across Canada and then go down to the States and go all the way around. But financially, that would be crazy. And then just the logistics of trying to figure that out would also be kind of sort of crazy. But I'm fine with me having meetups and it kind of being like Fight Club, where Tyler Durden goes from one city to the next, and then they just keep it going on their own. So again, like I said, I do like to see guys who come out to these meetups talking to each other and chatting with one another. And if it helps to cheer somebody up because they've had a rough week, then cool. If there are guys who come out to all these meetups and are like, hey, that was some of the most fun I had during the summer, great. And, it was the one thing that was kind of tough yesterday, and I don't know how much of the footage ended up in the meetup videos. I know Yvonne edited out me wiping out, and I told her not to. I was like, so I wiped out. I was fine. She was worried I landed on my knee. There were guys worried that I got all scuffed up, and that's why I wear gloves. And I said that. I said that too, because I landed on my hands. My hands are fine. They're fine because I was wearing gloves. Because I've seen the comments of the videos. You don't need gloves. Glad I was wearing gloves yesterday because my wrist still hurts a little bit. I don't know if I had landed flat on the pavement with my hands out without the gloves. I don't know if I would have really buggered up my wrist or not. I could have. That could have been a thing. So, and I've gotten better at gloving the ball down. So that's one thing too. There were a couple times yesterday where I caught it and threw it down. So getting better at that because you don't. I've conditioned myself not to do that. Because I'm not a teenager anymore. Yeah, as a teenager, I caught and dropped the ball. I didn't care if my hand hurt because I was 15, 16. I was going to live forever. At this point, no, you're winding up for a slapper. There's the net. Just take the shot. I'm not standing in the way. Did you see? He was going to take a slap shot. I'm not standing in the way of that. I did take a ball off the shoulder yesterday too, or off the chest and the shoulder. A little sore, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Not a big deal. But it is a lot of fun having these, and I'm glad that people come out to them. I'm glad that we have enough people now that come out to these, that we have multiple teams and multiple games. And I'm also aware of the players who didn't come out very much this summer. Or at all. Clayton. Kirk. Joey, you were just there the one time, weren't you? Yeah, I remember these things. And Yvonne and I talk about it. We talk a lot about, this guy's not here. Where is he? Where's he been all summer? Where was Brad this summer, for instance? I think we only saw Charlie the once. Never saw Elizabeth at all. And so, there are certain people I pay attention to, and I'm like, why didn't we see? And I only say Elizabeth because she changed her name to that on Facebook. It was Sherry before that. But these are the things to pay attention to, where people aren't there. And sometimes Yvonne will get there and she'll be like, I don't even see that person here. So she'll message him. Where are you? Are you coming? Or so we do make sure that we're cognizant of who's there, and especially with the ones that have been there coming for years. And it is important to us, the community that we've built, and checking in on people. Again, I mentioned with Kevin who sadly passed on. It's definitely made it so I am far more likely to say, why hasn't that person been here, and to maybe message them and say, hey, so you haven't been out. And in cases of a few of the guys I mentioned there, I know why they're not there, but still at the same time, it'd be nice if they came out and showed up. You can skip work and go to a meetup. I will write a note. I have no problem writing a note. I am sorry that they couldn't show up at work today, but street hockey. So you're welcome, the hockey guy. P.S. It's okay. I said it's fine. So, and if anybody watching this needs a note from work, I'm just kidding, or for work, not from for work. But yeah, I'm just really proud of what's been built and of everybody who comes out to all these. And, for the guys who get it, that we're just out there, we're having some fun. Sometimes we go out for a meal afterwards. We didn't do that yesterday. Yvonne wasn't feeling optimal at that point, really kind of wanted to get home. And there wasn't really much talk about food or anything at that point. Sometimes there is. Sometimes with the meetups, there's a lot of, hey, so do we want to go out for food? And when you have 4 teams of players and you're looking at roughly, like we had about 3 subs per team at the beginning. So even by the end of the night, we still had, I would say, 20, 25 guys. When you're bringing that many people into a restaurant on a Saturday night, sometimes they can't seat you. So we've gone through that a few times. We didn't have that experience exactly, but we have shown up to restaurants where they're like, oh, you have how many people? Yeah, it's going to be an hour and a half before we get you in. Okay, cool, awesome. So, and we don't pre-book all of that because we don't know how many people are necessarily going to come out. I think with the meetup yesterday, I think there were like 14 people that replied with going on Facebook, and we had at least, I would say, 32 people, at least. And that's not even including people who come and watch. And yes, we get this question too. Absolutely, people can come and watch and just, enjoy themselves. You want to take a video of the guys running around, you can do that too. Anytime I wipe out, there were a lot of guys who wiped out yesterday. There were a lot. And it was weird because at the start there was like 6 or 7 wipeouts early on, and I was really kind of concerned. Like, is the concrete slippery? Because Hickey Park, when it's been raining, the reason I can't have a meetup if it's been raining, I know how slippery that surface can get. No, it was just bad luck. It was just a lot of bad luck and guys playing pretty hard too. So at any rate, I look forward to doing it again. I thank guys who came out. I do try to make sure that the meetups end up in a playlist because I want to make it so that guys 20 years down the road can look up a video on my channel and show it to their kids and say, look, that was your dad back then, or that was your mom, because we do get young ladies that come out and play as well, saying, look, see, I was out there playing street hockey. So it's fun, and I think of it that way, like this is something that they can look back, and I think back to all the street hockey I played when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I can still play as long as I did back then, but I'm not nearly as I'm not a dirty player like I was back then. I'm just not. I've dialed that way down, but yeah, I had my moments where I could be a pretty dirty player to play against, which I think is part of the fact. Part of the I think part of it is because I'm smaller, I'm shorter. So when you're shorter, you've kind of got to have an attitude, and you've kind of got to play a style of hockey that doesn't make you popular with your opponents. Your teammates love it, but your opponents, not so much. Not so much. Anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support as always. And I do look forward to next summer, next spring, and I do hope between now and next spring we can have more. And that people can come out. So thank you guys to everybody who came out this summer, to everybody who came out in Anaheim for the 2 meetups as well. Again, we are considering putting together another Anaheim/Disney trip in the new year, and again, then next summer it would be a Vegas trip. But again, just stay tuned. We always post the event on the Facebook page, and then we try to make sure it's on the community page here on YouTube as well. So we have a link to the event, but it's almost always at Hickey. And I have no problem doing previews for that kind of thing. I know that the actual footage from the meetups doesn't do particularly well, but I have no problem with doing that because not everything on YouTube has to necessarily be about, well, how many clicks are you going to get? Sometimes it's about, that the guys who came out and played with you yesterday are going to want to watch the videos or want to show it to people, and so they're up on the channel. They're up on the channel. the same day as other videos, and I don't put them in a special spot on their own or anything. As far as I'm concerned, it's a hockey channel. Street hockey's a form of hockey, and I wanted to throw this in here too. We don't play on skates and do the ice hockey thing because A, risk of injury goes up. B, the costs for me putting that together would go up, especially with insurance I'd have to have. And C, the risk of injury being higher is also due to the fact that a lot of the guys who come out and play don't play ice hockey. They've never skated in some cases. There was a guy who came out yesterday. I was pretty sure it was the first time he'd ever played street hockey, or at least in a long time if he had. So I always try to make sure that when I throw these together, it caters to everybody. So it doesn't matter. When we went to Seattle a few years ago, there were guys there who had never held a hockey stick. And I'm not making that up, like never held a hockey stick. And it was fine. It was absolutely fine. I was like, nope, just go out there and play and enjoy yourself. And as far as I know, they all did. And it was great. So that is important. I've always talked on the channel about making new fans. And I feel like when it comes to hockey, having that welcoming environment where it is, you're making all these new fans and everything, I think it's great. And so I encourage people to come out that have never done it before. Don't ever worry about being embarrassed. That was why, when I was like, oh, I didn't want to show you wiping out, I was like, so what? So I wipe out. Somebody's going to make a GIF out of it. Big deal. Like, it happens, And like I said, I wasn't hurt, so it wasn't a big deal. But anyways, there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot. Having this channel, having this ability to put together these kinds of things, and knowing that every day I make videos that every day people will watch them, it means so much. So thank you guys for that. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and if you have an interest in playing street hockey or floor hockey, or if you're like, I play hockey and I want to show them what I can do. All right, well, we have guys who come out that do play hockey. You can tell. You can tell when they're guys who play hockey, and I do my best to keep up. I do my absolute darndest to keep up. It is, again, being able to play for that long, I'm very happy that I can do that at my age. And yeah, it's important for me to at least feel youthful for at least a little while, until, the next morning. Although I will say this, I was not in a lot of pain when I woke up today. I really wasn't. I had expected my shoulder and my chest would hurt from where the ball hit, and it does, but only if I poke at it. Other than that, I wouldn't know it's there. My knees, hips, everything else, fine. Absolutely fine. I had not expected that. But again, I do my best. I'm on the treadmill every day, and that's why. So it's to keep myself in shape. I know what the camera makes it look like. I know. I see it every day, and I'm like, really? I swear. But anyways, there you go. Thank you guys for all your support. It means a ton, and I will continue to be here for as long as I humanly can. And thank you guys for tuning in. I will talk to you again soon.